Hey everybody, Michael Snyder here, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is December 23rd, and right now we are looking at the windy map. You can see the wind direction here coming through the gorge, the Stampede Gap here in western Washington, keeping some areas below freezing. It was still 30 degrees here at my house at noontime, just west of SeaTac, but look down the Oregon coast, warming up into the 50s already. That warm air is on the way up. It's just going to take a while to scour that out of the Portland area. As you see, it's being reinforced from the east there across the North Willamette Valley and even through the Stampede Gap up towards Seattle, and you can see up places up Bellingham. That Fraser River outflow is still flowing out, so could see some additional freezing rain accumulation up there as well. But we are going to warm up here through tonight across much of the area west of the Cascades. However, it's going to take another full day to start to impact that cold pool in places like eastern Washington, Oregon, and that's going to take a little bit more time there. And some freezing rain is possible for those areas also. But we're going to turn wet, warm, and windy here, folks. We have atmospheric river potential and windstorm potential here coming up. Now, let's take a look at things here. You can see Pacific Ocean, the systems are rolling here, folks. We got some Pineapple Express potential here coming up over the next few days. We'll take a look at that. We'll take a look at the windstorm potential also here coming up shortly. This is the mid-level water vapor loop, by the way, and you can see it's going to warm us up as we go through the day today west of the Cascades. But we're going to have that freezing rain threat for eastern Washington, Oregon, portions of BC as we go on in through tomorrow, Christmas Eve. You know, a kind of still a busy travel time here across Pacific Northwest. Now taking a look at additional ice accumulation. This is Seattle National Weather Service showing places out in the foothills where some cold air may be trapped here. Bellingham north towards British Columbia as well. Taking a look here, this is wintry mix through Saturday here, Spokane. You can see it's going to be affecting all the major highways. I-90 out there, expect slick, icy, and snowy roadways on through tomorrow. Heads up for this. Have your travel plans, have your car kits going on in your vehicles. This is for Pendleton. Same basic message here. Widespread snow in areas of blowing snow, freezing rain today. All interstates and highways would be affected there. So, you know, be ready for it, guys. Power outage is possible. Taking a look at my home here. Look at the ice accretion I got at my house. About a half an inch here showing up here on my stuff, my weather station stuff out here. You can see I was running some tests and I've got multiple anemometers out here and they got glazed pretty well here. About a half an inch of accumulation. Look on my Davis ultrasonic anemometer there. Nice clear ice on top of that bad boy right there. And you can see the ruler there marking about that half inch, maybe even a little bit more accretion here across some of Normandy Park and SeaTac. And you can see out on the bushes being weighed down pretty heavily as well. Just a pure sheet of clear ice on all roadways out there. And if you guys didn't see, I parked my car and then it slid down the hill there. You can see the video on this YouTube channel, so go ahead and check that out if you like. Now taking a look here, this is additional ice accumulation through this morning. You can see it kind of push off through this afternoon into the foothills, but watch what happens tomorrow morning. That threat starts to exist for portions of eastern Oregon and Washington as well. And as I can attest to, this freezing rain is no joke, folks. I mean, it is extremely slick. It just creates this amazing coat of ice. And look at some of the icing potential down here through the gorge of Oregon, Snoqualmie Pass, Stevens Pass up here as well. And eastern Washington, all it takes is a glaze to get really slick. Now, this is the temperature here about noon, and you can see Seattle still right around freezing here. It was actually 30 at my house at noon, coming up on 1 o'clock now as I'm doing this video, but you can see that cold air trapped in some of the areas of the northern Willamette Valley there for Portland, up towards Bellingham as well, southwest BC. But this should really warm up as we go through the afternoon, but check out Portland, slow to do so. Still below freezing from some areas towards Portland as we go into tonight, but the rest of the area should be warming up and start to thaw this ice up out of the area here. But check out as we go on into tomorrow across eastern Washington, remains in the 20s for many areas out there as well, including the gorge. But look at southeast Oregon, a sign of things to come here as this warm air starts to make its way up in here. And watch as we go off into Sunday and Monday here. Look at these warm temperatures down there by Christmas afternoon, up into the 60s for some of the Willamette Valley, in the 50s all the way up into the Puget Sound here as well. Going on into Monday also, we stay pretty warm. We're going to get some warm, wet systems in here. We'll take a look at those here in a moment. Take a look at Seattle, Tacoma coming up for the next few days. You see the warm up here. And right now we're just going to concentrate on this. We have lower confidence as we go out into the future as always here, but look at some colder temperatures starting to show up again here. We'll worry about that here. We'll check that out again tomorrow, but we have atmospheric river potential and windstorm potential as we go through the week here. Look at some of these balmy temperatures. Going to feel downright warm out there on Christmas Day after what we've been going through here across Pacific Northwest. at least west of the Cascades even. Spokane, you see, you do warm up here on Christmas Day a bit, and a little bit more Monday and Tuesday there, and then potential for some cooler weather returning there through the extended. But you can see Friday's high and low temperature for Spokane out there, single digits to only into the mid-teens. Bellingham, similar story here for most places west of the Cascades. The general warm-up will happen afternoon and tonight, and then you can see the really balmy temperatures move in as we go through Christmas and Monday, and then a little bit cooler as we go into the following week, but we're not going to worry about that just yet. Now, taking a look at Seattle, Tacoma, look at some of the precipitation makers coming up here as we go through Christmas Eve and Christmas, big rain maker, and then another potentially even bigger one as we go on in through Monday night and Tuesday of next week. We'll watch these systems closely, especially tomorrow as we get a little bit more data on them. Look at Quileute out there, big rain makers coming in here too, over an inch on both the control and the mean, up towards 2 inches on the first system there as we go on in through Christmas Eve into Christmas Day. Here's Astoria. Look at that one. The control saying over 2 inches there as we go on into Monday night and Tuesday there. And you can see the big batch of precipitation with the first event and the second event, potential for more after that as well. This is Newport Municipal Airport down on the Oregon coast there. And you can see the big storm system rolling through Monday on into Tuesday morning shown there. That's when we're going to watch closely for some atmospheric river potential coming up here. Fantasy windstorm hunt as well. As these systems move in here, there's some big lows roaming around the Pacific Ocean here, and you can see there are some ensemble runs with over 60 mile per hour gusts here and another handful of 50 plus mile per hour gusts showing up. So we're going to watch those for windstorm development here as well too. We still have a couple days to look at that and try to refine some of the details here. This is Quileute on the Washington coast too, up in the northwest Washington coast. Big winds starting to show up in the ensemble runs. Also for Christmas Eve and on in through next week as well. Astoria, same thing here. Look at these gusty winds coming up. Even some gusty winds this morning probably going on, it looks like, with the warm up there. And then potential Christmas Eve blustery conditions, then potentially a bigger windstorm as we go through next week. Brookings, Oregon, look down on the coastline there. Look at that ensemble agreement there as you go up towards 60 miles per hour on the mean. Potential big storm rolling in here, folks. That's what we're going to start to look at in some detail here, especially as we go on through tomorrow and we get more data on that storm. So what's going on here? You can see North America and the big, huge blizzard moving across the Great Lakes and kicking off the East Coast here. Then you see our cold air trapped at the surface and our ice storm going on here as well. Put it into motion and look at this atmospheric river number 1 rolling in there. And then we got another one here with some potential on in through next week as well, with the big low rolling in towards the area also. You can see that what that's a 957 millibar low out there. Kind of interesting, barreling right into Vancouver Island here. Could bring some high winds to the area. We'll continue to watch these systems as they roll across the area here. And it looks like we're going to stay active all the way in through next week as well, bringing more potential systems at the Pacific Northwest. Now, taking a look here, this is mean sea level pressure anomaly at the surface here. And we're going to warm up here, and then you can see these big lows kind of roaming through across Haida Gwaii there. But then look at this huge system out here as we go into Monday night next Tuesday. Just a really deep low coming towards the coastline here. This one's kind of worth watching here and see how this develops. Right now, this is not a great track for huge winds across the interior because it's not diving inland too much. It starts to weaken quite rapidly once it gets to the BC coastline there, but you can see it's still a 975 millibar low across central BC. Would cast a pretty wicked gradient across southwest BC all the way down through Washington and northern Oregon shown here. But right now we're just kind of refining details and looking at what's potentially to come. So we do have some windstorm threat upcoming here. Precipitation as well. Watch as we roll through this 10-day period here. And I'm just going to kind of show you the general gist of what's going on here. Oregon, Washington, BC, big rainfall totals, coastal ranges, Cascades, and potentially on the way down through California as we go through next week as well. As you can see that precipitation spread south. But look at some of the amounts along the coastal areas of Vancouver Island, the Olympic Mountains here, Cascades of BC, Washington, coastal range down all the way down through Oregon, Northern California. A lot of precipitation coming in here, folks, and we're going to warm up pretty well here, it looks like anyway. We'll continue to watch some of the forecasts come in, though. The extended is going to be low confidence right now. Now, this is precipitable water. You can see these systems move in. Check out that atmospheric river here going on in through Christmas Eve there. Fairly progressive, though. Then kind of a warm front here. And then another atmospheric river setting up shop here. And that's the one to watch there. As you can see that really sets up over the Pacific Northwest quite well, driven by that deep low out over the Pacific Ocean shown there. You can clearly see it. Then it drives a powerful cold front all the way down through California as we go on in through next week. So very interesting weather still coming up here, folks, and we're still dealing with the freezing rain right now. I mean, if you wanted a busy weather across Pacific Northwest, you got it here. This is a pretty unusual winter so far. Very active. So here we're looking at atmospheric river potential here. And you can see along the Oregon coast, atmospheric river category 5 is showing up here. Washington coast, a category 4, and then generally Northwest Washington coast up towards Vancouver Island 2. This is the European model right now. The GFS is a little bit lesser with the category ratings going across here, but you can see some pretty good values coming across the Oregon coast and Washington coast here. And you can see the A marks where the extreme is. Pretty prolonged event with some pretty good vapor transport going into the area here. So we really have to watch for some flooding potential as we go on into next week. Now this is 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. Above average temperatures are likely here across Pacific Northwest. Look at somebody turned up the heat there for the East Coast. They're going into the 6 to 10 day period there, especially across the Great Lakes. If we go on into the precipitation 6 to 10 day outlook, you see California, this would be very beneficial to them during a La Nina year as well. And above average signal across Pacific Northwest also. Risk of heavy precipitation on in through the new year here into early January across the West Coast. Moderate down through California there. We'll continue to watch these systems as we go, spending a little bit more time on the individual systems probably as we go into tomorrow's briefing. You can see the risk of heavy snow as always for the Cascades down through the Sierra Nevada here all the way through the early new year coming up. Risk of high winds, they're paying attention to those big lows as well. This goes on through December 31st through January 7th shown here. So the West Coast pretty much targeted there. Now look at Seattle. I mean, look at these temperatures all month. We've been below average. The last 2 days, extremely cold. We did not get above freezing there, just as forecast. We're going to spend 2 days at least below freezing and potentially another one today, at least up until about, maybe 4 p.m. We'll get above freezing here across the SeaTac area, it looks like. But look at this. We had 1, 2, 3, 4 days of measurable snow again, along with 4 at the beginning of the month. That makes 8 for December, although no really huge snowfalls. We did get that 2.6-inch snowfall there, but generally not a lot of snow accumulated across the month so far, even though 4.7 is quite above the normal there, even for a La Nina year. Now taking a look at avalanche danger as well, if you can get up there or if you're up there right now, there is considerable avalanche danger across the Cascades, Olympic Mountains, and you can see we've got high avalanche danger across Mount Hood there. And this may increase as we go through the next few days here because we're going to have the freezing rain on top of some of the areas, additional snowfall, and then we're going to bring in all kinds of different Pacific Ocean moisture into the region here and probably set up some different layers across the snowpack of the Cascades as we go. So anyway, yeah, you can see the cold air trying to hang on across Seattle and Portland as we go into the early afternoon hours up towards Bellingham. It's going to be harder to scour out as well. As you can see, kind of that general Fraser River outflow going across the region up there. Much colder across eastern Washington. That cold air is going to be hard to scour out as we go through the day tomorrow, bringing some freezing rain and some snowfall to portions of eastern Washington, Oregon. As you can clearly see on this map, it shows it quite nicely just how cold it is off to the east of the Cascades there, Idaho, Montana, and if you go east of the Rockies, you're even much colder. Some places in the negative territory is there. So anyway, I've had a busy day so far. I hope you guys liked the live stream. As soon as I got home, my car took off down the hill and bumped a police officer and then slid down and actually hit a telephone pole down the street there. So check that out in the video if you like. So I have not been able to get down the street to see the damage yet because it's really hard to take more than 3 steps outside right now down the street without falling down. So I'm waiting for it to thaw here over the next couple hours and I'll go assess the damage on the car. But anyway, nobody was hurt or anything like that, so it's not a big deal, but it's just kind of something you have to fix. But anyway, look at this warm air coming up the Oregon coast there. It's starting to make its way into the South Willamette Valley at this time. Of course, it's going to take through this evening to get that cold air out of there through portions of the Willamette Valley near Portland, and of course closer to the gorge. The further you go east, that cold air will be harder to scour out even still. We should be changing over here across the Seattle metro here in the next couple hours to above freezing temperatures. That's going to take a couple more hours to really start to melt things back a bit, and it's ice probably not going to be gone until at least till later tonight or tomorrow morning across western Washington. So anyway, watch out for that ice tomorrow across eastern Washington. The passes are going to be pretty nasty tonight with some freezing rain, possibly possible through Snoqualmie Pass and Stevens Pass. Highly recommended that you do not travel overnight tonight through the passes. So anyway, we'll pay a little bit more attention to the details of these upcoming systems coming in here, and we'll try to pinpoint some data, get some more information in here. We'll check out other models and compare whatnot too, because we have windstorm potential, we have atmospheric river potential, and that is all coming up as we go on into next week. So anyway, I hope you guys are having a good day. Take it easy on the ice out there, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow.